Mel, why is it so hard to make friends as we get older?
Go back and watch that creator's original video because it is so good and so spot on. I am going to give you a little bit of a cheat sheet here and tell you exactly what it is that she says right here, right now, as to what those three main elements are for a successful friendship. And those are number one, proximity. And obviously, we have that as a child. We're all together in one group. Number two, stages of life. As an adult, it is much more difficult um, to kind of connect in terms of stages of life because everyone's kind of scattered everywhere, as opposed to when you're a child, you're all experiencing the same milestones at the same time. And three is values and interests. Obviously, as human beings, we are continually evolving, continually changing, and because of that, we may not always necessarily align with the same people that we did 10 years ago, 5 years ago, hell, 5 minutes ago. Um, so, yeah, I've been thinking about this a lot in my own life, and I miss childhood friendships, you know? It was so easy. You just found a buddy on the playground and you asked them if they wanted to play, and that was it. You had a friend, right? It wasn't complicated, it wasn't difficult, it was so simple. And I can honestly, at this point in time in my life, honestly and truly only think of two people who I would really consider actual genuine friends, where it was like if I knew I was in a crisis, I could definitely count on these two people to actually be there and be present. Um, I have a lot of surface level people in my life. It's like looking at your friends list on the book of the face, and you can have like hundreds of friends there, but that doesn't mean you're actually friends, right? So I have a lot of surface level people, but not a lot of people who like know me, and not a lot of people that I know would actually be there if I needed them. It's rough. I've also kind of bounced around a lot in terms of like living situations and moving. You know, I grew up in the Chicagoland area and then I lived in LA for 15 years during like my 20s and my 30s. And even though I was in LA for a very long time, which meant I had proximity, the issue with LA is it's a very transient city and people just come in and out of there constantly. So even if I was like the stable one, the constant one who was always there, I always had people coming in and out of my life when I was living in LA simply because that's just the nature of LA is what it comes down to. So I've definitely had issues with proximity in the past, even if I had the same like values, interests, and stage of life with those people when I was living in LA. It's just everyone was constantly kind of in and out, is what it comes down to. It was so chaotic. And then I came back to the Chicagoland area for like a super hot minute, and now I'm in the Denver area in Colorado. And I haven't been there too incredibly long. This year in 2025 is going to be my 2 year anniversary officially of living there, which is very exciting. Um, but because of obviously moving around to different places, um, it's been hard to like hold it down in terms of the proximity thing. And then with the stage of life thing, I really struggle too because I don't come like I come across it a lot on here on this app because obviously it knows me, and I'm glad from what I see on this app that means that there are a lot of people who are in the same boat as me that do exist. The issue is I never find any of you people in the wild. And that's what I need is I need you people in the wild, and I have problems finding single women who are childless or child free. You may be dog moms, you could be cat moms, whatever it is, but you know, like you got your fur babies. Um, I have a lot of issues finding people who are like me, like that, in a sense, just in that kind of stage of life. And I'm not really like a 9 to 5er kind of person. I've never been that kind of person. Even when I've tried, it's never worked out. I've always been highly creative, very much so entrepreneurial mindset and have always kind of like worked for myself and done my own thing, whether it was when I was in music or when I was like walking dogs or now doing work with spirituality. I've always kind of done my own thing, marched to the beat of my own drum, so to speak, right? So it's hard to kind of connect with people who go through like the regular 9 to 5 thing. And there's nothing wrong with different stages of life. You know, everyone's got their own thing, but it's nice to find that camaraderie if you can find it with people who are going through that same thing with you at the same time. And it's really challenging for me to find those creative, entrepreneurial, single women who are child-free, childless. You know, they got their fur babies, they're a fur mama of some sort, cat, dog, whatever. It's challenging is what it comes down to. And then we have like my interests on top of that, right? And it's like the interests that I have may not necessarily be similar interests to other people, you know? Like I'm a Disney adult. To some people, that may be totally cringe, and that's fine, and that's their prerogative. But I am definitely one of those Disney adults. I was also one of those people who got very much into Twilight in like 2008 or whatever. So, you know, consider me a Twihard, I guess you could say. But I also loved Buffy back in the 90s. So I've got like my weird vampire thing, I guess you could say. I love like late 90s, early 2000s pop music, you know, like the whole golden era of boy bands and pop princesses and that kind of thing. So, you know, I've got all these different interests, and I know there are people out there who do find those things interesting and share those values with me, share those interests with me. But I don't come across them very often, once again, in the wild. And then there's the woo-woo aspect of it too, because obviously I heavily get into spirituality. That's the work that I do now and everything. And I once was like very heavily like, you know, up to here in deep in the twin flame communities for a long time. And I still believe in twin flames. I do believe they're a real thing. I have my own twin flame myself, but I've definitely taken like a huge lean back from that whole culture, I guess you could say, just because I find certain parts of it to be very codependent, to be very toxic. I don't think that at its core it is, or that it should be, but I feel that it can be, and I don't want to have friendships or connections based upon twin flames and just always talking about our person. Like, I'm in my golden girl era here, you guys. Like, I want to connect with my girls, you know, for us just like enjoying each other's company, not for it to be like revolving around some guy, you know? And even just in the new year, I kind of was like thinking about one friend in particular. I saw some posts on social media, and she's kind of been in pain dealing with her own twin flame, and, you know, to each their own. They all have their own journey, but I was thinking about it, and I'm like, this is someone who we don't have the proximity. She lives in a different state than me. We have different stages of life. You know, she's like a divorced single mom and all these other things, does the 9 to 5, has a totally different life, and I totally respect that. But I'm like, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, aside from the twin flame thing, what would we really connect on? And I was like, probably not much. So I kind of just like deleted her. Not because I have anything against her, but I was just like, what's the point, right? We're not really there for each other anyway. So anyways, go watch that video. I know this is very long. I just kind of wanted to go on this tangent about friendship. And with all the things that I mentioned about me and my experiences with friendship, if you are in the Denver area in Colorado, and any of those interests that I mentioned to you, being a single woman who is child-free, childless, dog mom, cat mom, creative type of person, and being in Colorado, you enjoy the outdoors, going hiking, that kind of thing, hit me up. Let's become friends. So, you know, I am in my golden girl era, wanting to make friends era, and building up my friendship circle in 2025.